when you get busy, when you get to grow and you expanding, because every business owner doesn't want to stay where they start, right? You don't want to be doing this. Say you're a plumber and it takes you 2 hours to do your accounting, right? In that 2 hours, how many jobs could you have done? How much money are you losing out on because you're sitting down and you're working your own finances?
Hey, what's up? This is Jamal Abbott. Thanks for tuning in. Here to talk to you today about a discussion I had with the bookkeeper, Audrey Bradley. This was a very insightful conversation with an entrepreneur who has the entrepreneur's back in the form of bookkeeping. So we talked about her background, why bookkeeping, why it's important, and the differences between entrepreneurs and other organizations managing their own money versus partnering with a bookkeeper. So you're going to get a lot of insights to that discussion, as well as some other nuggets that Audrey presents to this conversation. So without further delay, here's my conversation with Audrey Bradley. I appreciate you for joining us today on the podcast. And I like to ask people just a little bit about themselves. Let me know who you are, what you're all about, and how'd you get to where you're at today?
Absolutely. My name is Audrey Bradley. I named the business after me. It's ABradley Bookkeeping, kept it short and sweet. I started out working in corporate America, corporate accounting, graduated with my bachelor's in accounting, spent 10 years there. I never thought I would end up as an entrepreneur, but I had a nonprofit reached out to me about 4 years ago that needed help with their bookkeeping. I let them know I've never done full cycle bookkeeping before. I'm happy to give it a shot, but I don't want to disappoint. But they were willing to take me on. I worked with them for about a year. Things were going well. I was running the payroll, making sure their bank transactions were getting categorized and then processing their checks and vendor payments. And then the treasurer would go through the financial reports with me. I was doing that for about a year. They said, we know another nonprofit that also needs help. I was like, oh, okay, sure, maybe. I'll see if I have time. I started working with the second nonprofit, and then my first client also referred me to a restaurant. I had 3 clients on the side that I was doing bookkeeping for and working full time. And it was fun. I never dreamed I could be where it was now. Like I never intended to make this my full-time gig, but then of course, COVID happened and suddenly paradigms were shifting. And I was like, they sent me home to work. If I can work for them from home, why can't I work for myself from home? I actually started reaching out to business owners, CPAs, and other people that might have bookkeeping clients for me. What I do, I come in, and a lot of times the business owner is super busy or just doesn't have the time to focus on the bookkeeping side of things. I come in and I take that on. I handle everything from paying the vendors, paying payroll, sales tax, handling the categorization, and then making sure everything reconciles and ties out so that what the business owner is getting end result is clean financial reports, because they're going to take those, and let's say it was back in COVID when they were like, oh, we have all this free money for you. We just need to make sure that you're running payroll, or we need to make sure that you have the proper financial paperwork. So that's what I give them, so that when they have those opportunities for financing, they turn in the paperwork and they get money. And they don't have to worry about, oh, I have to go clean up for 6 months, or I have to sit down for 20 hours and stop all business activity. I can do this. I'm the one that's working behind the scenes, getting all that done for them. Working with CPAs is giving me a great opportunity. I don't handle tax preparation at all. I'm not certified. It's not my gig. It's not something I'm interested in. CPAs, they're doing the tax side, but they need the clean financial reports. When I partner with them, I'm coming in to handle the cleanups and getting all the transactional detail in order. And then I turn over the financial reports to them, and they can run the tax preparation. So that works out really well. And I can sit down and say, trust me, I will not be stealing your business because I can't do tax preparation. Sure, there's a trust level there, but they also know, like, Audrey's not smart enough to do tax level work. I can give the other side to do.
Yeah, awesome. That nice overview. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with partnering and realizing your strengths and your weaknesses, and then also understanding too that you don't have to do it all by yourself. I like to take this back just a little bit further, if you don't mind. What got you involved in finance? You mentioned going to college and then being in corporate America. What led you down that path to begin with? So I'd like to hear your superhero origin story on that one.
Sure. It was a process of elimination. I knew growing up, my parents were pushing. We were going to college. I knew I'm going to college. I get to college and then they sit you down and they ask, what's your major? I have no idea. But I was going through the catalog and okay, if I want to do, I love sports. Like I love playing soccer. That's a lot of exercise. Like, like dentist work, that seems interesting. And then you're like, biology, and I didn't pass chemistry, and elimination. I got out of there and asked my parents, hey, what am I good at? They want me to major in something. And they're like, oh no, you're good at math. Oh, okay, I can do math. That's awesome. What? And they were actually the ones that recommended accounting for me. They both graduated with their accounting degree.
Oh, okay.
Parents there.
Oh, okay. The apple didn't fall too far from the tree on that one.
Not far at all.
All right. And then now everybody's good at counting the apples, basically.
My other siblings went in different areas, but I count the apples and have one as a doctor. I can call him up if I have anything. And then one's good at writing. I have her check my grammar. I'm like, this sounds awesome, but I don't know why. And then she corrects it. Thank you.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. And then you mentioned being in corporate America. Just curious for you. I think you mentioned 10 years, right? In corporate America?
Yes.
All right. At what point did you decide, let me get away from corporate America life and then try to do this on my own? Was it anything specific or is it something that you've always wanted to do growing up?
No, it over time hit me. A lot of the times I was jumping around. I'm from Florida. I ended up moving to Texas, bounced up to Washington State for a little bit, and then came back down to Texas because Washington State has snow, which I didn't think about ahead of time. But I like travel, and every time I moved, it was related to travel. I wanted to be in Texas. I was closer to these locations. I can make a weekend trip up to Mount Rushmore or something. Every job I ended up quitting, I was only there for maybe a year or two, and then I would quit because their time off policy didn't give me enough time off to go do what I wanted to do. They had 2 weeks here, a week and a half here, and you can't take time without pay. And I was like, but I'm the only one affected. You aren't paying me. I take that hit. Like, why not? It was all these corporate policies that were in place that were limiting what I really wanted to do, which was travel. When COVID came around and they sent us home, and suddenly I'm like, because I went home for about a week and I didn't tell them. Like, I just took my laptop and moved, and I was still getting my work done, and they didn't even realize. I was like, if I can do that, then I could pop over to Europe or go over here. And that's when I started researching like VPNs and other security portals. And they didn't realize that I was in Japan working from out of there. Like, I didn't know all the tech details behind all that. That was like, if my main goal is to travel, how do I get to that destination? Like, how do I go from here to traveling? And that's what opened my eyes to, let's do this bookkeeping full time. Because if I am running the business, then I get to go where I want to go. I get to do what I want to do. And maybe the clients go away from me, maybe if I can't perform accurately, but it's on me. It's up to me. And I'm just going to take control of my destiny.
There's nothing like having some personal accountability when it comes to dictating your own destiny and then deciding whether or not you want to go either left or right. Definitely agree with you on that. And the reason why I'm on that entrepreneur journey too, I like having control of my own destiny. You mentioned some pretty good information earlier about bookkeeping and then how you're pretty much doing the work that maybe a business owner doesn't want to do themselves. Maybe if you can just talk about why people should firmly consider this option versus maybe managing their business out of their checking account or out of a spreadsheet. Why a bookkeeper?
Absolutely. My parents explained it this way when they recommended I go into accounting. They're like, everyone needs someone to count their money. Bean counters are always going to have a job. And it didn't hit me until COVID when they had to decide who was essential or not essential, right? Every job is essential. We all need jobs. But who did they stick around? They sent me home, but I was still working because I was in accounting. They needed someone to count their dollar bills. Everyone at some level is going to need that experience level. Maybe you have the time now when you're just starting out to do it yourself, which is great. I talk to people at that level and I just get them set up on accounting software and I train them how to use it. Here's QuickBooks. Here's how you run your own books. Here's how to self-manage when you just have maybe 50 transactions. And I give it a cost benefit analysis like that, especially if they were like, why should I hire you? I can do it myself. I'm like, yeah, you can. Anyone can learn accounting. It's not hard. It is math. 2 + 2 is 4. That answer is never going to change. Is that what you want to focus on? Is that what you want to build your business around as you as a solo person? Because when I sit with my clients, I request read-only access. I can log in and download statements and view transactions and basically don't have to reach out and bother the client. I put it to them like this: you can be sitting on a beach in Cancun and I can call you up and be like, hey, I need those statements. And I have this question and this one, and your whole vacation is ruined, right? Because Audrey had a call with a question. Versus if you just give me the work and give me the access I need, all of that is handled. You're in Cancun. I'm talking to your CPA. We're getting your taxes done. Taxes are paid, and you're still on the beach in Cancun, enjoying that lifestyle. I put it as a benefit to them. I'm just there to serve you.
That's convincing to me. You mentioned QuickBooks. Why QuickBooks? And I've heard about it, but I personally haven't used it myself. But what makes QuickBooks appealing compared to anything else out there?
QuickBooks is kind of universal. When you say bookkeeping, everyone is familiar with QuickBooks. QuickBooks was the first one I learned. I learned QuickBooks Desktop even when I was working in corporate. And then, of course, QuickBooks Online came on. And you had to switch. You were like, desktop is right here. It's on my computer. QuickBooks Online gives you that versatility where, again, if you're out of the country, you can still log in and access QuickBooks Online. If you are on your cell phone, you can still log on and access QuickBooks Online. There's just more benefits and more accessibility. There are other platforms like Xero or Wave apps that I've worked with before that I use, and there's ton of different ones, but QuickBooks is just the more well-known one. When I'm sitting down with a client, I'm not trying to sell them on software. I'll say, what are you familiar with? What are you using now? If they're using something different, that's great. But if they don't have anything, I'm going to set them up on QuickBooks because it's usually the easiest one to start with.
Okay, got it. And then within QuickBooks in itself, do we have like access to reporting and other tools and metrics to run the business?
Oh, yes. There are different levels to QuickBooks Online, but all levels come with a basic profit and loss where it shows this is how much income you brought in, this is how much expenses, this is how much net that you made for the month, for the year, for the quarter. And then it also tracks your balance sheet. Balance sheet isn't available on every level, and you don't need it on every level. If you're a self-employed person, you don't need a balance sheet. But when you turn over to a LLC and an S Corp and more foundational business, that's when you need the balance sheet. It has a variety of reports. It also has, of course, accounts receivable. You're tracking which clients owe you money, which ones are past due, which ones you need to pay attention to because Joe Blow over here hasn't paid his bill, but he's coming back to you for more service. And they pay you before you do any more work. Or accounts payable, which is tracking your bills. Vendors send you bills and you have to track like, oh, in a week, I owe this person $5,000. I got to make sure and handle my cash flow right.
And then you can issue invoices from there, and then you can make notes and say, hey, like this person hasn't paid, cut them off completely. You can do stuff like that within QuickBooks.
And that's the things I'm reporting when I send them the reports each month. Hey, Suzanne over here hasn't paid you. If you see Suzanne, remind her. Or I was just sending reminders from my client that I send invoices for. Once a month, I log in and like, these people haven't paid, send them reminders. It pops up in their email again and oh, I forgot to pay them. Because sometimes these are business owners themselves. They get busy, they get distracted. They just need that friendly reminder.
Got it. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. You have me sold. I think it's important to hire a bookkeeper, but why a bookkeeper versus like an accountant? Are they the same? Are they different? Help me understand what the difference is.
I call myself a bookkeeper because I am in that more transactional, deep down in the dirty details. Accountant can come at it from the details, but also from the overall like 10,000 foot range, kind of like the CFO, higher level. Accountant can do some of the same functions as a bookkeeper, but accountant will also do functions like analyze and do like financial cost analyzing and a lot of other functions that a basic bookkeeper won't do. I'm at the basic bookkeeper level. If I ever decide to go into the accountant level, I would need to go back to school and basically get my master's to get some more of the managerial accounting background. I can sit down with the manager and say, so your cash to debt ratio is this, it needs to be this, you better influence your business, the bank will give you more money. Because if your debt to income ratio is too high, you have too much debt compared to how much income, you're going to get that loan. They can sit down with you and go over more strategic planning, I guess is the word for it. But I really
Okay.
like to break it out into bookkeeper versus CPA, right? Because the accountant can do everything within that. But like CPA makes it clear, like you are doing the taxes, you're doing the higher level functions, bookkeeper is doing the lower level functions. And because I don't know if you worked with a CPA before, but CPAs have gotten additional training that allows them to bill a lot higher than me. You can do 100, 200 plus an hour, almost like you're sitting down with a lawyer. And then a bookkeeper comes in, you're like, oh, okay, 75 an hour, $90 an hour. That's more reasonable. And I'm not going to bill you every time you call me with a question. Like I talked to Bill for 5 minutes, we got that question solved. I'm just sending him off an invoice. Ouch, I can't call Audrey. I don't want to get a bill every time I talk to her. I bill flat rate. It's a personal decision. I have met some bookkeepers that bill hourly, but I want my clients to be able to call me with any questions they might have. I just one flat rate fee for the month. Call me with any questions. We can sit down via Zoom, go over it. I'm available to you. It's just a availability level, I feel like, as well.
Got it. Okay. Down in the weeds, more day to day. And then it's almost like this bookkeeper is like literally on your team looking out for you on your behalf.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. That's good to hear. What should we be looking into as far as like accounting, not accounting, but bookkeeping goes? Personality wise, trust, dependability. What do you think makes a good bookkeeper and somebody that you would want to hire personally on your own team if you were looking for a bookkeeper?
Definitely personality. See if they have experience in your industry. Sit down and interview them. I call it speed dating. Although I don't encourage married people to speed date. Don't use this as that way, but sit down and talk to 3 or 4 of them and just see how you get along. If they can answer your questions, have they worked in your industry? I don't work in farming. I sat down with one lady, we had a discovery call, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I have never worked with farming. I don't even know like how to guide you or advise you. You need to have some level of experience in what they're going to do. Like the restaurant industry or the nonprofit I started with, I let them know in advance, like never worked with a nonprofit. I am happy to learn, happy to grow and expand with you. Don't cut them off if they don't have that experience, but just sit down and see, can we work well together? If it's someone who, when they laugh and they have that annoying squeaky voice, nothing personal, but you aren't going to want to work with them because you're going to avoid talking to that person. And you want to have that level of relationship where you're calling and you're talking questions. Again, this is for your business. This is for your business to grow. It doesn't matter. It's not personal. It's business. Sit down and find someone that relates to you. Even if it's just, oh, he has a kid, I have a kid, or we both love skiing or something. It doesn't have to be business related. Just make sure that you're familiar with them. Because when you're in trouble or you have a question, you don't want to be like, oh, but every time I call her, she's at the mall or answer the question, I'm just going to avoid her. No, don't work with that client. I am not the right fit for every client out there. It's like I said, speed dating. There's a person out there for your business. If I am not the right one, it's not going to be a helpful relationship with either of us working together. We're going to be butting heads. Sorry. Just say no. Just keep going.
Yeah, that's key, especially the relationship part. If you can't get along with that person, or if you can't pick up the phone and call them, or it's a cringe-worthy moment every time you're talking to them, then it's probably not a good fit altogether.
Trust that gut instinct.
We are towards the end of my questions, but what would you say out there to the folks that are maybe considering going down this path of getting some additional help? Where should they go to maybe find some bookkeepers? Where would you advise them to go first?
You and I connected on LinkedIn. That's a great option. There's also Indeed, there's Craigslist, there's Facebook groups for independent freelance bookkeepers out there. Again, it's more the interview stage, making sure that you're filtering through and make sure you're picking a good one for you, not just the first one to reply. I would say Google also as well. A lot of bookkeepers or independent business owners like myself were on Google. Just type in bookkeeper near me, and then you can actually go visit them in person. A lot of people like that face-to-face connection still now that we've moved past COVID and are coming out of our homes and everything like that. So I'm still virtual. I have a lot of clients. I live in Texas, but I have a lot of clients outside of Texas that I have never met in person. But if you're able to hop on Zoom or even a phone call and just get to know them, put a face to that name, and recognize their voice. Just again, it's a gut instinct. If you can see and talk to them, it's going to help you make that decision much better. Indeed, LinkedIn, Craigslist, Facebook. Oh, I've also seen some bookkeepers on Instagram. My social media game is not that strong.
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Audrey, I definitely appreciate your time today. Where can people connect with you if they want more information about what you have to offer?
Of course, I'm on LinkedIn. I do have a website. It's ABradleyBookkeeping.com. Feel free to check me out. Schedule a time to meet and chat. I'm going to sit down. We're going to get to know each other and learn more about your business and what you need. If you think you need a bookkeeper, just sit down and do a pros and cons. What do I need help with? What's my pain point? And then do I want to figure that out myself, or do I want to pay someone for that? And if it's taking you 5-10 hours, just think of how much that time reinvested in your business is going to help you grow the business. Think of, what am I going to get out of this relationship? Because it is a give and take. You're giving me money, I'm giving you some more time in your business. Just sit down and see, is this the right time? And even if it's not, just sitting down and talking to someone, I'm happy to talk to people. I have a 30-minute free consult where we sit and chat. If I can't help you, or if I don't know how to help you, I either refer you out, or I tell you to go this way, or you might be better off using Wave because it's free once you start off, or whatever. I give free advice, and a lot of people say it's worth what I pay for it. But it's free advice. Just sitting and talking with someone else, two heads are better than one. It can't hurt.
Absolutely. All right, Audrey, I appreciate your time, and thanks again for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamal.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share this with somebody. Let them know that this podcast is available for them. And also do me a favor, if you're feeling up to it, leave a review in Apple Podcasts and then leave a rating as well too. This helps get this podcast out to other people that might need to hear this information. So by you doing that, it would mean the world to me. So I thank you so much for your time, and we will talk again soon. Have a great day.